Jack Thunder and the Dawn of Unity. Chapter 5. A Fiery History. Strombolio sat down on the edge of the platform. He stared solemnly towards the ruins of the puppet palace. Well, I hated that ride anyway, but I didn't want it to go bust like this. Mr. Strombolio? Strombolio turned to face the three kids in front of him. He sighed. It's all right, Shadowpaws. I don't blame you for this. I can't believe Twicchit came back. After all these years, you'd have thought he'd learned his lesson. Jack Thunder stepped forward. Yeah, who was that guy anyway? Why isn't he allowed here? Strombolio took a deep breath. Me and Twicchit, we have a bit of a history between us. He shifted his weight. Y'all might want to sit down. The three took their seats on the edge of the platform. It was story time. 4 Cybele Nissan, 2231, Silver Era. Little Strombolio stared up at the poster before him. He couldn't read the words too well, but he recognized the face on it. A Nekomata with white and gray fur, wearing a neat black hat and cape. They called him Puppet Master Twicchit. He had a very special talent in the Circus of Shadows. With the slightest movement of his hands, he made little wooden figures sing and dance across the stage. The crowd would stare in awe as they seemed to come to life right in his hands. What are you looking at, little performer? Strombolio turned to see the face of his teacher, Ringmaster Magnus Sunders. The older harlequin gremlin turned to the poster. Oh, I see. He knelt down next to Strombolio. You like that poster? Maybe someday, if you work hard enough, you can wow the crowds just like him. Won't that be fun? The little harlequin gremlin smiled and nodded frantically. That sounded good to him. 16 Nissan, 2232, Silver Era. Strombolio had worked hard this past year. He was becoming a rising star in the circus. Magnus was so impressed, he changed up the show schedule to give the young harlequin gremlin more time on stage. Strombolio couldn't have been happier. The other performers talked about him a lot. They said he was going to take over for Magnus once the older harlequin gremlin decided to retire. The young gremlin shook his head. That sounded pretty far-fetched. Magnus would never retire as long as he could keep running. The click of the door behind him snapped him out of his thoughts. His breath caught in his throat. Standing behind him in the mirror was Mr. Twicchit. The Nekomata's expression was unreadable. Strombolio swallowed hard. He guessed Twicchit would be sore over his act being pushed to the side. The Nekomata didn't seem too happy when Magnus posted the new schedule. He turned to face Twicchit. Are you still mad at me? What? Oh, no, little performer. What would I be mad about? Twicchit denied. About your act, Strombolio stammered. Look here, Strombolio. Twicchit threw his arm around the harlequin gremlin. See this mirror here? I see a fairy who's going to rise straight to the top, no matter what life puts in his path. Really? Mr. Twicchit beamed at him. Really? Looking back, Strombolio should have asked which one of them Twicchit meant. 1 Nissan, 2233, Silver Era. Everything was set up. Today was Strombolio's 6th birthday. Instead of a party, he wanted a special show just for him. Magnus, of course, was more than happy to oblige. The lights dimmed. It was time to go. The young harlequin gremlin hopped across the stage, relishing in the audience's cheers. He stopped right in the middle, colorful bolts of magic blasting from his hands. Suddenly, his back grew hot, and a strange orange light began to fill the tent. Cheers turned to screams as the audience realized what was going on. Strombolio turned around. What he saw made him gape up in shock. One of the blasts from his hands had struck the support beam, setting it alight. The entire tent was going up in flames. Attention! Attention! A fire has broken out! Everyone needs to evacuate! Strombolio had just managed to avoid being trampled by the stampeding crowds before the tent was completely ablaze. Somewhere in the chaos, a canister of laughing gas broke open, its contents igniting immediately. The tent exploded, sending Strombolio and some audience members flying. Everyone pitched in to help stop the fire. Strombolio wept as he carried another bucket of water to douse the flames. Eventually, the inferno died, leaving only a smoldering, blackened ruin in its wake. That evening, Strombolio curled into himself. Even the cabinet he hid in couldn't shield him from the consequences of his own actions. He sniffled as he listened to the conversation just outside. "I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not the one who set the tent on fire." "Really? Then why did you have an empty jug of lighter fluid in your trailer?" I was just..." "Quit lying, Twicchit. We all know what you did. You were trying to get Strombolio booted, weren't you? Thought I'd blame him for it. Do you even realize what you did? The tent exploded. Half the audience is in the hospital. Not to mention the lot of us. I nearly got trampled to death myself." "I never meant for it to explode. I only meant to... I only meant..." "You can tell it to your next employer. You're finished here." "What? You can't do that! I'm your top performer!" "If you were even remotely worthy of that title, you wouldn't have sabotaged a 6-year-old's act and nearly killed a bunch of people. You ought to just be glad I'm not calling the guard on you. You'd be lucky to ever see the light of day again. Raphael, Rudolph, get this Nekomata out of my sight." "Fine. I never liked working at this idiot circus anyway." Heavy boot steps and angry shouts filled the world outside for a few seconds, then faded away. Finally, there was only silence. Strombolio heard the door creak. "Strombolio? Strombolio, are you in here?" Magnus's voice called out. Magnus knelt down and opened the door to the cabinet. Strombolio only sobbed harder. "I'm not mad at you. I just want to talk for a minute. Come out, please." Slowly, Strombolio crept out of the cabinet. What did Magnus want to say to him? "It's okay. Twitchit's gone now. He's not going to be coming back for a long time." Strombolio stayed silent. "Listen, Strombolio." Magnus's tone grew firm. "What happened wasn't your fault. Twicchit made a choice, and not a very good one. You couldn't have known that would happen." "But I outshone him. I made him jealous of me." "That's gonna happen sometimes," Magnus countered. "You can't spend your life worrying about that. What matters is what you do with that spark. You can be like Twicchit and tear people down, or you can lift them up so they can shine too. Which do you want to do?" Strombolio knew the answer to that question. He smiled up at Magnus. "Oh, wow, I didn't know. I'm so sorry that happened to you." Stephanie placed a hand on Strombolio's shoulder. Strombolio gave her a half smile. "It's all right. Magnus was always there for me when I was younger, kind of like a second dad. I just wish..." His eyes grew a bit misty for a second as he thought about his old ringmaster. He turned back to the ruined puppet palace, his expression turning to a sneer. "Appropriate that old Twicchit would come back destroying our property like this. And just when I think he can't go any lower, I find out he's in cahoots with Miss Butternut. What the flip side has he been up to?" "Miss Butternut?" Stephanie inquired. "She's the leader of this hate group called the Anti-Humanist League that's been running around Alterus ever since the war. Strombolio snorted. They don't think your kind belongs here, and they'll run around destroying things until they get their way. Bunch of hooligans is all. He turned to Stephanie. Listen, kid. I'd be real careful who I trust around here if I were you. Humans and fairies aren't exactly on friendly terms right now. Stick close to Jack and Shadowpaws, okay? Stephanie crossed her arms in front of her, but nodded nonetheless. Don't worry, it'll be fine. We saved the entire world, remember? Jack gave Shadowpaws a shoulder nudge. Shadowpaws grunted in affirmation. He was too lost in thought to pay attention.